We will be moving forward with Brady Cook as our quarterback, and quarterback number one. Brady played efficient. I thought he had good command, was especially good in the 2-minute drill, which was a point of emphasis for us. Brady Cook has earned the right to be quarterback one and take the lion's share of the reps.
Welcome back into the Tiger Kickoff Show presented by the Columbia Missourian. I am your host, Harrison Vapnek from KOMU Sports. It's our first show of the year that Missouri is 1-0, the undefeated Tigers, getting ready to play Middle Tennessee State this Saturday. I'm joined by the beat writers from the Columbia Missourian, Ryerson, Brandon Haynes, and Wendell Shepherd. Style points is what we're calling this. Sunglasses before the games. Feeling good, looking good, playing good. What's up, guys? How we doing?
Doing good. And congratulations to you on getting your national broadcast debut.
Yeah.
Not the way I thought we were going to see you on the field, but, you know.
Yeah, there it is.
Good.
There it is up there. I'm celebrating an LSU third down stop. We got a quick replay on that, too. Yeah, that was a lot of text messages in a very short amount of time after that happened. Was very exciting until Florida State went on a 31-0 run to start the second half. So I was rooting for LSU. Didn't get the result we wanted, but
yeah,
I got some national notoriety. That
I
was
see the pain. Yeah, I can see the pain in your eyes when you said that 31 run.
It was. Hey, they scored also in the last drive of the game, which made it hurt even more. But let's talk about Tigers that are 1-0, not 0-1 like LSU. Missouri 1-0 to start the season, a 35-10 win over South Dakota last Thursday. A lot of good, not so much bad, but things to improve upon. Wendell, I'll start with you. What was your biggest takeaway from Missouri's season opening win?
I mean, the one thing that everyone was looking forward to coming into the game was the offense. When you have a new offensive coordinator, quarterback battle going on. I thought the offense looked good, but it wasn't too different than what we saw last year. I think Drinkwitz said that the playbook was fully open. Who knows if that's the truth? But it wasn't too exciting, I would say. I mean, I think Brady Cook did well. He executed everything he was supposed to. Offense moved the ball. They scored. That's all you need. But it wasn't too different.
Yeah, they punted on their first drive. 4 nice touchdowns in the second half, including that Brady Cook rushing touchdown. Nate Pete called it a little shake and bake action there. We'll talk more about Cook in a second. Adam, what did you like from what you saw from the Tigers?
Yeah, bouncing off of Wendell, talking about the offense, I thought that it was good that they ran the offense through Luther Burden. I mean, he's going to be the best player on the field. Mostly any team he's playing, definitely against South Dakota, he was the best player on the field. He had 6 catches, 81 yards, set a single game record for himself in the first half alone with that 6 catches, 81 yards. And the other thing that I thought was really good was Drinkwitz said in the post-game presser that they were preparing for a 3-4 defense, and they came out in a 4-3. The offense was able to adjust, score a touchdown on the next 4 drives after that opening drive. It was pretty impressive, and that's something that we haven't always been able to see from the Mizzou offense, so the adjustments were something that I liked.
And Mekhi Miller, also the second leading receiver on the team, scored his first career touchdown on that drive to put Missouri up 7-0. Brandon, on the defensive side of things, what was something that you liked that you saw?
I think the rush defense stood out. I think we all knew as a group that Mizzou's defense is trying to gun and be the best team in the country on that side of the ball. 38 rush yards for South Dakota on 35 carries. I mean, that's 1.1 yards per carry. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Yes, it's an FCS team, but you wanted Mizzou's rush defense to go out there, kind of make an impact, make an impression, and they kind of stepped up there. Johnny Walker Jr. was one of those guys who kind of came up, led the team in tackles, just kind of made his presence everywhere. You saw people in the linebacker core, secondary, kind of stepping up and making open field tackles. Those are types of things that really helps kind of push Missouri from a good defense to one of the elite ones.
And that's something we talked about in our preview show last week, that this could be a dominant front seven. And you mentioned it's an FCS team, it's South Dakota, but being able to stop the run that efficiently, that's only just the start of what could be a big season. We mentioned they're 1-0, but there's also some things that they need to improve upon, some flaws in their game. Wendell, you mentioned the offense and the 28 points in the first half that looked good, but it wasn't always so perfect for that unit, right?
Yeah, Drinkwitz after the game commented on the number of penalties that the offense had, namely the O-line. I believe 5 penalties total, 4 for the offense, false starts. That's something you see earlier in the season, but something you want to get cleaned up pretty quick, especially with tougher games coming down the line. So I think going forward, want to see fewer penalties on the O-line.
Adam, we mentioned the wide receivers. What about the running game? Cody Schrader actually set a Missouri career high in rushing. He's 48 yards away now from 4,000. But you kind of want to see that run game take it up a notch, right?
Yeah, I think the running back room is going to be one of the most important things in this upcoming game. Brady Cook also, he's very underrated with his legs, but he got his touchdown in week 1, and I think that if they can continue being dominant in the rushing game, then they can continue to win games, especially against a Middle Tennessee team that is going to blitz a lot this week. That, while it may cause pressure in the passing game, it opens up a lot of running back lanes, and if the offense can identify that pre-snap, then they've got a really good chance at making some big plays.
Yeah, and Brandon, we used to call Harrison Mevis Money Mevis, the thicker kicker. Not his greatest game on Thursday. Missed 2 field goals. One of them was a pretty short one. I think the laces were inside. Always laces out is what they say. But it wasn't a pretty game overall from the special teams unit against a much inferior opponent against South Dakota. What are some ways they can get better going into this week and then beyond into SEC play?
Yeah, I mean, every time we look at Harrison Mevis, we just expect him to make it. So to miss once, but not just once, but twice was kind of a shock to all of us. Drinkwitz came out yesterday, said that they're kind of working on that whole unit as a whole. Trey Flint will now be the short snapper for field goal units, so hopefully maybe snapping will kind of make it easier. It's also on the holder, though. There was an open competition for holder throughout camp with Brady Cook participating in that, but Luke Bauer ended up getting it. He held. Hopefully there's consistency there, but that's something to just keep an eye on, just that whole process. And another thing to look at is kind of the kickoff return game. There weren't very much explosive plays off of that. There was ways that they could still be better at that. So just trying to maximize your opportunities when you can, and when you can kind of start the offense with a good run to begin it. It just kind of helps the flow of the game.
And I don't know if a lot of people noticed, but after the touchdown drive that Sam Horn led, Brady Cook went back on the field to hold that snap. I thought that was, just something to note that they wanted to change the long snapper, the holder, just make that a smoother process for Mevis because, it being a close SEC game, I think making field goals could go a long way. We mentioned Sam Horn and Brady Cook. The most anticlimactic quarterback competition is officially over. It seems like Brady Cook, announced yesterday by Eli Drinkwitz, will be the quarterback 1 going forward, with Sam Horn still having some kind of role in the offense. That remains undetermined. Wendell, I'll start with you. You were at that presser yesterday. How surprised were you by the updated depth chart, having Brady Cook as the standalone starter?
I wasn't really surprised. I was kind of expecting it, especially after his post-game interview last week. There were some interesting comments there, but the overall consensus is that, Drinkwitz really likes Brady Cook. So I wasn't very surprised. I think just based on how they played, Cook showed more. You could argue, people on Twitter have been arguing in my comments about whether or not Horn had a fair opportunity. But that didn't surprise me much.
Yeah, he mentioned that fair opportunity. Adam, I'll turn to you. Cook was 17 of 21, 172 yards and a touchdown, also had the rushing touchdown in that first half. Drinkwitz said after the game to ESPN sideline reporter that, hey, Cook led us for 4 touchdowns, Horn for 1, so we have to evaluate from there. Do you think that's a fair statement and a quarterback evaluation from Coach Drinkwitz? Because at the end of the day, it's his decision, but was it a fair decision that he made?
From the sense of accuracy, 4 touchdowns to 1 touchdown is true, but I'm not sure. It's kind of taking a little bit out of context. I mean, Sam Horn didn't get to start until almost 9 minutes into the second half. If you're waiting your entire first half of the game, and then you come out ready to play in the third quarter, and you get a South Dakota team that's driving down the field for 9 minutes, you kind of lose a little bit of the flow of the game, and it didn't really seem like Horn had the feel for what was going to happen.
It was a little shaken up when he first came in.
Exactly. So I do think that Brady Cook still showed that he is the better quarterback. I think that he is. Sam Horn still had a great throw on that touchdown. It was actually the same play that scored the touchdown, or not on the touchdown, the 31-yard pass.
To Miller.
Yeah. Same play that Brady Cook threw the touchdown on. They both executed it very well, but I think that Cook definitely was the better player last week.
And Brandon, that was the first time we really saw real game action for Sam Horn. We saw him for a drive against New Mexico State last November. Didn't see too much there. What were your thoughts, and what kind of role do you think Horn can have going forward? Because Drinkwitz didn't count out that we'll see more Sam Horn going forward.
Yeah, based on Drinkwitz's comments, I do expect us to see Sam Horn for at least 1 series this weekend and possibly going forward. He didn't suggest where that series may be. One would assume it would be towards the end of a game, kind of in that type of situation, but we'll just have to wait and see. As far as Sam Horn's performance, I felt like he did what he had to do coming out there in the time he had. Like Adam said, you watched South Dakota run off the clock. It seemed like they were chewing clock in the third
Yeah.
quarter. You come in, you don't have much momentum, anything like that. So you just go out there. I think he finished 3 for 5 with 54 and a touchdown and an interception. The interception was, yes, it was underthrown pass. Mekhi Miller had hands on it. It popped up. Unfortunate pick for him. But the touchdown looked good, and I mean, he had opportunities. I just think it's tough luck for Sam Horn. I don't think he really got a fair shot to show his worth and kind of his opportunity. But in the snaps he did have, I think he made the most of his opportunity, just too little compared to what Cook did in the first half.
Yeah, quickly, what do we think of this Sam Horn coming in for a drive? Like, what if it's against Kansas State next week and it's a close game in the second half and Drinkwitz hasn't had his Horn snaps yet? Like, is this something that can work or something that's sustainable?
I don't know. I think it's like Drinkwitz doesn't want anyone else to be right.
Yeah.
Almost, because I asked him yesterday. I was like, whenever he said, that Sam is still going to be getting opportunities, I was like, well, what does that look like? Is that, once you get a big lead in a game, or later in the game once you feel comfortable, with what Brady's showing? He's like, no, it's just going to be we'll give him a drive at some point.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really make sense.
No, I don't think he fully understands what he's doing with it yet either. Which could be a concern down the road. Maybe not for Middle Tennessee State, but against a Georgia, a Florida, and Arkansas, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I don't see a situation where, if Brady Cook's your starter, if you're in a close game, say against Kansas State, you're not just going to bring in a new quarterback. Yeah. And I don't think there would be an issue if he said, well, it's just going to be reserved for situations where we feel comfortable with our lead or what have you. But yeah.
Anything else on that?
I think it'll just be interesting, especially with what we saw last year against Kansas State, where Cook started the game, ended up coming out. You saw Jack Abraham in there for a little bit. It's just going to be interesting to see what type of plan of action happens if Brady Cook were to struggle against a team like Kansas State, against a team like LSU. How quick will Eli Drinkwitz be to consider pulling him and giving Sam Horn a series then? Amidst those struggles.
And not that it matters, but I think it's going to be like a quick page to turn for the fans. It's like Brady Cook goes 3 now, 2 consecutive drives in the second quarter, whatever. Fans are going to be like, give us Sam Horn, because it doesn't officially close the book on Sam Horn being done. It's not Cook as the official starter. I'm sure we'll have many more questions and many more answers over the next 3 months between number 12 and number 21 at the quarterback spot. As we usually do in our pregame shows, we will talk about what our writers are writing about this week in their pregame features and their look ahead to this week. Wendell, I will start with you. You were writing about a guy who had a big impact on the defensive side last Thursday against South Dakota. Tell me about Johnny Walker Jr.
Well, I talked earlier this week with Johnny Walker Jr.'s former high school coach, and he just spoke glowingly about who he is as a person. Obviously, he had a great game against South Dakota, 6 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, all of which led the team. Basically, he's just always been a grinder. He's been waiting for his opportunity to play. He was a star in high school, kind of turned around his high school program. Came to Mizzou, didn't initially have that opportunity, but has really grown, transformed himself physically, and he's looking like that other guy at defensive end with Darius Robinson this year. Obviously, Mizzou lost a lot of guys, but it doesn't look like they're going to be missing him too much.
Yeah, he was dominating on the edge. I'm excited to see what he's going to do the rest of the season. Adam, you looked into Missouri's non-conference winning streak at Faroe. It's been a while since they've lost on their home field against a non-con opponent. Kind of tell us what you know about that.
Yeah, 14-game winning streak after last week. The streak started back in 2017 with a win against Idaho. They lost to Purdue earlier that season too. But they will have the chance to get two more this season with this week and then next week against K-State, and they will have the first chance to break the current 18-game streak next year, week 3 against Boston College. Yeah. So pretty cool stuff. Faroe Field was pretty electric during week 1. Over 50,000 people came out, the most attendance for a home opener since 2019's game against West Virginia. So the players want them to keep coming back and keep showing out and bringing the energy because, like Darius Robinson said, they're going to bring their energy all season.
Yeah, and we know the fans are going to be in full force next week against Kansas State. That game was announced earlier this week as a sellout. Brandon, you looked into Middle Tennessee State, the Blue Raiders, running the air raid offense under head coach Rick Stockstill, who's been there since 2006, a very familiar system. What can the Tigers expect out of that team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, at first, look at the coach, Rick Stockstill. Been there 18 years, fourth longest tenured coach in the nation. He's going to have his group experience ready. This is going to be nothing to them as far as coming into Columbia and trying to make an impact. They played Alabama last week, so they have experience there. They lost 56-7, which you look at that score. Game kind of ran away from them later in the game, second half. So it's a team to kind of watch out for. They run an air raid offense. Offensive coordinator Mitch Stewart came there from Samford last year. He's kind of been able to work with quarterback Nick Vatriato a bit. So he's kind of had opportunities to kind of groom him into the offense and everything like that. So it's kind of cool to see how they work. Last time Middle Tennessee also came to Columbia. They won homecoming 2016. Kind of shocked Mizzou a bit. That was Drew Lock's freshman year. So just
51 points in that game too.
Yeah, something to be wary of. Drinkwitz talked about it at Tiger Talk the other night, just about how Middle Tennessee State has averaged over 40 points against them in their 2 contests that they've played. So they're an offense that's ready to click, ready to fire, and they're going to be ready for that, especially with their air raid, which according to Stewart, has a lot more freedom due to Stockstill's kind of just ability to listen and do things like that. But as far as kind of players to watch, you got Frank Peasant at running back. As much as they're an air raid offense, they've got some abilities to run. Peasant's one of those guys that can kind of become electric. And Trey Fluellen at safety is also a guy to kind of watch out for. Middle Tennessee State will take the ball away and just kind of make it hard on defenders. So just be prepared to watch for that.
They played my Miami Hurricanes last year, scored 45 points, won the game on the road. They had 4 plays of over 68 yards in that game. Their quarterback was a guy by the name of Chase Cunningham, no longer there. Let's do our game picks now. I think we're all going to go with the Tigers like we did last week. Wendell, you picking Mizzou?
I have
Middle
Mizzou
Tennessee?
again, yes.
Think it'll be a comfortable win? I know the spread maybe 3 touchdowns or so. I think that's about right.
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little closer. Middle Tennessee isn't a bad program by any stretch, and I don't think they're going to want to get embarrassed again this week.
Yeah. Adam, what do you think?
I think that with one quarterback playing most of the game, Mizzou's offense is going to be more productive throughout the whole game. I got Mizzou winning 41-21. I think that there's going to be a lot of points in this game, so we'll see what happens.
Brandon?
I'm not going
to
give a score yet, but I am going to give Mizzou the victory. I do think Middle Tennessee will hang with the Tigers a bit. I think it's too easy. It's too easy to look them off a bit. I also spoke to Cecil Joyce, a writer with the Daily News Journal down there in Murfreesboro. Spoke to him. He believes that Missouri will win as well. 31-20 was his final score.
I know they beat Miami last year on the road. I know they came to Columbia and won in 2016, scoring 51 points. But I think Missouri gets it done on Saturday. They're going to defeat Middle Tennessee State. I think they score 50 points. The offense keeps rolling, 52-21, we'll say. A lot of points scored. Picking with the Tigers. You can put it up there, Travis. We're all going with Missouri. 4 for 4 for the second straight week. Next we could get a little frisky against the Big 12 champs. I don't know if we'll all have the Tigers across the board, but we'll find out then. Shout-outs for the week. Luke Whitaker. You guys ran into him. Tell us about that experience a little bit.
Yeah, the 3 of us, we were all walking into the stadium on last Thursday, and Luke came up to us and was like, "Hey, shades on, boys, future's too bright." And we were like, we kind of went crazy. We're like, "Oh, someone watch the show." So we appreciate you, Luke. Keep watching. Hopefully we got some good stuff for you later this season.
Yeah, we appreciate all of our viewers. Thank you so much for tuning into today's Tiger Kickoff Show. We will be back next Monday to recap Missouri and Middle Tennessee State. I'm Harrison Vapnek. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Tiger Kickoff Show.